I want to make a quick video to show you how to look for a domain name when you're thinking of starting a website and you're just getting used to the internet and marketing on the internet, or at least getting started with a website. One of the first things you got to do is pick a domain name, right? And a lot of times that is great in theory, but then it's like, how do you actually do that? What does that mean? A thing I would do is suggest to go to GoDaddy.com. I don't actually use GoDaddy for my hosting. Many people know it as the web hosting service, GoDaddy.com. However, I don't actually like their hosting service because they don't give you some of the tools that other hosts like HostGator or Bluehost.com give you. Bluehost and HostGator both give you a nice control panel and a really lovely back end that's very simple and it's clean. As a control panel to be able to maneuver your site and to be able to add things and do things with it. GoDaddy to me is just confusing. There's a lot of upsells whenever you go to add something to your cart. There's like 16 different windows you go to, all trying to upsell you to other things. It's confusing. It's laid out in a very confusing way, so I just stay away from it, except for when it comes to domain names. So to search for domain, when you're getting started, I would suggest going to GoDaddy because they do have one of the best domain name search features on their website. So if you go to GoDaddy.com, you can search for your domain right here. You might search for, I'm going to start with Tech Diva Tutorials. If that's not bought, I might just buy that because I haven't bought that yet. But say you're searching for whatever your domain name is, then you hit go. You can also search for .com or other types, .com, .org, whatever. Now I can see here it is available. I can buy it now if I want. And then it also gives you variations. So it gives me the dashes, Tech Diva dash with the dashes. It gives me Technology Diva tutorials, Tech Diva with a different spelling, Tech Woman tutorials. Kind of interesting how they come up with their variations. It also will give you the premium domains. Now these are domains that are already purchased. They're under other ownership, but they might be ones that are really get a lot of traffic, and they might be ranked well already, so you might want to buy it. Like sexywoman.org is a very expensive website, probably gets lots of traffic, and it's probably ranked quite well in Google. So if you wanted to buy that and make that your new business, you could. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to just search for this domain with the .com. You can buy other variations of domains. Now I wouldn't recommend this because if you're thinking about it from a marketing perspective, nobody's going to remember .mx or .ag or even .net is hard to remember. Everybody knows .com. So to vary away from .com, not really smart from a perspective of someone trying to remember your website. They're just not going to. Worse yet, if somebody else has your website with a .com, they're probably going to type in whatever your website name is, .com, and go to the other person's website, right? So you really want to try to get the .com name and find some variation that's going to be memorable to people, as well as, good for branding. Sorry about that. So you can also add, you can add on, you might get a .org if you're a nonprofit. You might add some of those, but I don't understand why you'd really want to unless you have a real need to add something from another perspective other than being, memorable to your user. So if you find what you want, the next thing to do is then figure out where you're going to buy it. You can buy it from GoDaddy. I would recommend sometimes buying it from GoDaddy because GoDaddy, just to sell that, don't buy anything else, just buy the domain. They sell it for one of the cheapest places on the internet is GoDaddy.com. So you can get most of the domains are usually always $12.99, so $13 a year, basically, for your domain. And you would just add it to your cart. And once you've clicked add, you just want to go to continue to registration. And what that is, it's going to register your domain then with your details, right? See, here we go. GoDaddy is just going to try to upsell you with all sorts of crap. Just go no. Like, it's going to try to sell you other variations of your domain. I don't want other variations, I just want the .com. So I'm going to say no thanks, right? So just always just keep yourself going through with no thanks. Now it's going, I'm an existing customer, so I could type in my customer number if I wanted to, or you can create new domain registration information. So you put your first name and last name, your email, your address. Now this is just going to be listing your domain in the Whois directory listing. Now what is the Whois directory? It's a collection of all of the domain names, I guess in the world, are listed here. So if you have a domain and you say want to buy one, and you see that it's already purchased, you could go to the Whois registry. You just type it into Google, Whois registry. You type that in, you could see who owns that domain. Now, if you happen to want to make that private, say you're purchasing a domain and you don't want people to know, you can also buy to have it privately listed so it doesn't show up in that directory. But just note to you that you can search and see who owns a directory or who owns a domain in the who is directory. So you would fill out your details here and hit next. You would then go to domain settings. After you hit next, you're going to want to make sure you change this. This is automatically by default going to be set to 5 years. You want to change it to 1 year. I mean, you could set it for whatever you want. 5 years is probably the best price, I guess. I usually set it for a year on some of my sites because I don't know how long I'm going to have them going. Set it to whatever you want. 2 years is a good length if you want. After that, you want to hit next. Here's where you're going to select whether you want your website privately listed or not. Again, the privacy, if you have it to be privately listed, that's another $12 a year with your domain, and that means it's not going to show up in the domain directory, the who is directory. It's not going to show up, so people won't be able to see your name. However, if you don't care, then just skip the privacy thing. So you're going to get a standard registration, and it also, let's see, I think that would be the only thing you would really need to be concerned about. The thing is, GoDaddy usually automatically sets you up to be billed automatically at the end of every year to continue to register your domain. So that means each year or however long it is, you're going to be billed. So if you set it for 2 years, then you'll be billed at the end of 2 years. I like to just manually do it because I like to know when I'm going to get a bill. So I always go in and set it to manual because I don't like to be surprised whenever suddenly I get billed for a domain name that I may not even need anymore. So I usually set it to manual, but you might want to just keep it at automatic. Just know by default you're going to automatically be billed. It's going to try to add stuff like add email. You will want to add email if, say, you want to set up emails for your website, like info@yourwebsite.com or your name at yourwebsite.com. You're going to want to add email. You can add 5, you can add 10, or you get the whole thing with storage. Now, again, this is to get the email name, and then you'd have to set up an email forwarder if, say, you wanted to set that email up to go to like a Gmail or something. We can talk about it in another video. For now, you would want to add email if you want that option. So you might add like 5 email addresses to get started. And then here's where you can choose hosting. Again, I would not recommend hosting with GoDaddy only because their backend is confusing. They are, however, the best price. That's one of the best prices I've seen around for hosting. So if you are used to saying no thanks to GoDaddy and you want to use GoDaddy anyway because you've already got your domain name, feel free. It's not that their hosting is bad, it's just that it's confusing when I'm checking out, and I often just don't like to use it. And I like the control panels that the other hosting services offer, like Bluehost and HostGator. I just like their control panel. It's simpler to use. However, it is a couple more bucks a month, so you might want to just stick with GoDaddy. And these are the features you can add if you do decide to get hosting. What does this mean? Ssl Certificate. So what that is if you're selling something on your website, if you're selling products or you're selling services or anything like that, and people are entering their payment information, you're going to want the Ssl certificate. It's a security certificate that basically tells people that the site is encrypted with codes, and then people can't, like, spam is less likely. Hackers are very much less likely to be able to hack into your site if you have an Ssl certificate. It's basically encrypted page code so that the spammers can't hack into your site and get someone's payment information. It basically is a protection to your user that your site is protected from hackers so that their payment information will be safe. So if you're selling something online, you're going to want an Ssl certificate. Most merchants require that you have an Ssl certificate because it just encrypts your page and makes it safer for those people that are going to be entering their payment information. I would never buy that. Drive traffic to your website. Who knows? God knows what they're trying to sell you. Just don't buy that. Shopping cart. I wouldn't recommend that either because you can use PayPal for your shopping cart needs or One Shopping Cart, which is a great service. I wouldn't use GoDaddy because I wouldn't even know what kind of features that they would have, and I think there's other software out there that would give you easier, simpler, and better features for the shopping cart, so I just wouldn't check any of those. After that, you would hit next. I believe you enter in. Now I can't go forward because I haven't entered in my my account information. But after you have all that set up, you would just hit next. You would then enter your payment information and you would check out. So that's a little walkthrough. That will get you set up with your domain name. And again, To search your domain names, you just go back to the home page of GoDaddy and type in the domain. And you can type in here if you want to have one of the other domain extensions. But again, the .com from a marketing perspective is the best one to get. You might find that a domain is taken. Like, let's say we use my website name that we know is already taken, like techdivamedia.com. If you type in a domain to see if it's taken and it's already taken, see right here, it'll say it's already taken. Now, it shows me other options, other domains I can buy that aren't taken. So say I like the dashes, you know, I could go ahead and go buy that for $12.99. It's a variation of what I typed in. But if I really want to know, well, who has techdivamedia.com? It says here you can view the who is listing or use domain buy service to get this name. Now, what that is the who is listing is what I've been talking about, where you can go find who owns a domain. The domain buy service, that means that you can actually go and bid to buy a purchased domain. If somebody already owns it and you really want it, you can use this service to basically put a bid out for that domain whenever it comes up for auction, whenever it expires. For right now, you can use the who is search, or you can go back and use the who is listings. You can go click that and you can see who owns that domain. Now you're going to see my name here because I'm the one that purchased that domain years ago. And you see my address too. I purchased this a couple years ago when I was living on St. John, so that's my address that was associated with this domain. And it tells you when I purchased it and when it will expire. So that gives you a lot of information about domains and where they're listed. It also tells you where my website is hosted. I actually use a hosting service through my friend Evan. He has his own service and I just use him for my hosting. But this would tell you, say if it's hosted with Bluehost or HostGator, the domain servers would show up here and it would show you where the website is hosted, if that's interesting. Anyway, that just gives you a little walk around of finding out domain information, whether a domain is purchased or if you need to purchase a domain. When you go to GoDaddy.com, it makes it really easy for you to find out that information that you need and search for it and then purchase it. I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.